I want to talk about the ratio of business class to economy fares. I follow one United fare, and it's $6 for every dollar of economy. I've never seen it. Where is business class in 3 years?
So thanks for the intro, by the way. That's a unique one, and I like it. But business travel, business class demand is really, really strong. It's really, really strong in economy, but it's even stronger in the premium cabin. United has more premium seats than any other airline in the country. And one long-haul business demand has mostly come all the way back to Europe, at least. It's even stronger than it is domestically. It's harder to do calls with someone in Europe. But the other trend I think that's huge is there's more premium leisure demand. And really that is enabled by hybrid work. Hybrid work makes every weekend a potential holiday weekend. And there are people that will go to Europe and they'll work for 1 or 2 weeks in Europe and they work during the day. They go out late at night with the French or the Spaniards. By the way, that's the only way I could possibly go hang out with the French and Spaniards if I stayed on East Coast time. And we see like this. I think it's a permanent step level increase in demand, both for weekend travel, but also for premium demand.
To the volatility, the cyclical nature of your total return of stock, is the new persistency of cash flow from business class enough to give you a more persistent cash flow on your financial statement?
Well, look, I think we'll still have volatility. We'll still be affected by the economy or short-term in the fuel prices. So it won't eliminate cyclicality. But what it does is more important, which I think it raises the level. So the lowest period of revenue will be higher than it was before, and the highest period will be even higher. It doesn't take out the cyclicality, but it does raise the bar across the board. It's just a new permanently higher level of demand.
But to that point, Scott, we've spent the better part of the last 3 hours talking about whether or not we're seeing a softening in demand, which is what policymakers are trying to engineer to bring inflation down. Inflation, which in some sectors of the economy means people are just spending less in certain areas. It does not seem that it has hit air travel yet. Do you expect that the demand deterioration is going to come? And will that ultimately mean you don't have the pricing power to keep fares high?
Well, I think the slowing economy and or a recession are going to be a headwind to demand, already are a headwind to demand. But there's 3 trends in aviation that I think they're currently more than fully offsetting. I think we'll continue to. One, we're still in the COVID recovery phase. Japan just opened last week. No matter what you think business travel is going to ultimately get to, it is going to go high, almost certainly going higher from here. So we're still in COVID recovery, unlike most industries. The second one is this hybrid work, making every weekend a holiday trend. September was the 3rd highest RASM month in the history of United Airlines. That is an off-peak month. What happened during September, and we saw it even earlier, we were seeing it in October, by the way, is going to be better than September, so it's going to move to 4th place, is people are now able to work remotely for 1 or 2 days. So they can, instead of being tethered to their desk at the office, they can leave Wednesday or Thursday, go somewhere, work remotely for 1 or 2 days. They're taking extra trips. That's a trend that's not appreciated by the market yet. It's unique to aviation, but it's offsetting those economic headwinds. It's a tailwind that's offsetting it.
Yeah, and Scott, we call that doing a John Farrow at Bloomberg Surveillance. Why don't you continue, Kaylee, with Mr. Kirby?
Well, that's on the demand side, Scott, but there also is the fact that you are still constrained on the supply side. Capacity is still more limited, and part of that has to do with the labor equation. Can you just give us your best estimate as to whether or not you're ultimately going to be able to expand capacity again, or is this a structural labor issue in the air economy which is going to stick around?
So first, if you're an airline investor, it would have been the third and maybe perhaps most important trend that while there's a really strong demand environment, supply is going to be constrained for years to come by artificial factors. Now, it's less of a constraint for United because we're at the high end. We're the top of the funnel, top of the pyramid for people wanting to be pilot. But there's not enough pilots in the industry. That's not the only constraint. Boeing and Airbus are way behind, and the supply chains are way behind on their ability to produce new airplanes. Air traffic control saturation. There's airports in Europe and other places that are full. These are like 4 or 5 year problems. Even if you start fix them today, multi-year problems to fix.
Scott, when you're in New York next time, landing at Newark and hopefully landing at JFK with that battle, I want to talk about the landing gates and all that. But Mary Schlangenstein, who's our ace airport reporter, says if you don't ask Scott about Boeing 737-8 over to a 7, and they're going to add 12 more seats, and they're going to take this wing and add it on. Scott, this is not confidence building with the redo of the Boeing MAX. I mean, it's not confident building. Do you have confidence that you guys in the FAA can get together to get that plane up in the air?
Yeah, well, I think you're talking about the MAX 10, and hi, Mary. Good to hear from you virtually. But here's what I think about the MAX 10. First, for United, if somehow the MAX 10-7 don't get certified under the current standards, our plan is we're going to convert some of those MAX 10s into MAX 8s and 9s. And our large airplane, we're going to order more Airbus A321s, and that's going to be our large airplane. And Boeing will compensate us for that. So for United, it's not really a big deal financially, but it's the right safety outcome. This is the most important point. It's just a different length of airplane. It's the same airplane at a different length. And you'd never want to make two different cockpits or procedures for the exact same airplane. That detracts from safety. So I think because it's the right safety outcome, we will get to the right answer where the MAX 7 and 10 will get certified like the MAX 8 and the MAX 9. I think the more important point is a bigger one for the country, for the United States of America. Boeing is our largest exporter, high-tech exports, manufacturing jobs, high-paying jobs. And the question is about, are airlines around the world going to buy MAX 10s or are they going to buy Airbus A321s? And the real question is, it's the right safety answer. Are these planes going to get produced in Seattle, or are they going to get built in Europe and Asia and China? Look, I want both Boeing and Airbus to do well for healthy competition, but the right answer is the MAX 10.